I gathered historical facts you lived peacefully without, but now that won't be possible anymore, and trust me, it only gets worse from here. In 1518, in the French city of Strasbourg, one woman walked out into the street and started dancing, just dancing, for no reason. After a few days, others joined her. Then dozens. Then hundreds. They danced non-stop, some of them for days at a time. Eventually, some simply collapsed and died from exhaustion. It's believed to have been a case of mass hysteria, but at the time, the plague was spreading across Europe, so people may have just been losing their minds. And yes, the authorities decided the best solution was to hire musicians, so they could dance even more. Yeah, genius. In 1888, one man decided to prove that the Earth was flat. He placed several flags along a river, all at the same height, far away from each other. Then he looked through a telescope. If the Earth was curved, the farthest flag should have disappeared below the horizon. But he could still see all the flags, and he started celebrating, thinking he had proven his theory. There was just one problem. He forgot about atmospheric refraction, an effect that makes distant objects appear higher than they really are. So in the end, the experiment actually proved that the Earth is round. Want to know what he did next? He said the experiment was flawed, and kept believing anyway. Makes sense. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs had a weird problem in flies, and their solution was even weirder. Servants were deliberately covered in honey, so the insects would swarm them instead of the ruler. Yes, literally, you stand nearby and just collect every fly on yourself. It's believed this actually worked, because insects are attracted to sweet things. But there's one catch. You're not getting rid of the flies, you're becoming their main target. Dream job, obviously. In the Middle Ages, it wasn't only people who were put on trial. Animals were too. Yes, full legal trials. For example, a pig could be accused of killing a child. It would be given a lawyer, a judge, and even witnesses. This was considered completely normal because animals were seen as responsible beings. And yes, sometimes they were actually found guilty and executed. Imagine being a lawyer, and your client is a pig. Interesting career path for sure. In 1919, Boston experienced a very strange flood, but not with water, molasses. A massive storage tank filled with syrup suddenly burst open, and a wave of thick, sticky liquid rushed through the streets, speed up to 50 kilometers per hour. At first, people didn't even understand what was happening, and then they simply couldn't run. They got stuck right where they stood. It's believed the tank was poorly built and couldn't handle the pressure, especially after a sudden warm spell. And yes, people actually died there, because they were buried in syrup. Sounds like a joke, but it isn't. In 1932, a war began in Australia, a real one, with soldiers and machine guns. Against who? Emu birds. They were destroying crops, so the government decided to send in the army. The plan was simple, just shoot them all. But there was one problem. Emus run fast, move unpredictably, and don't line up as easy targets. The soldiers fired, wasted ammunition, and the birds just scattered. It's widely considered that the operation was a total failure, and in the end, humans lost a war to birds. Yes, officially. In the Victorian era, people took family photos with the dead. Yes, literally. If a relative passed away, they would sit them up, dress them, and photograph them with the family. Sometimes they even painted pupils onto the eyelids to make them look alive. It was considered normal, because for many people, this was the only photograph they would ever have. But there's one unsettling detail. In some of those pictures, it's almost impossible to tell who's alive and who isn't. A family album better left unopened. In 1814, London witnessed an explosion, but not an ordinary one. A beer warehouse blew up. Massive barrels of beer couldn't handle the pressure and started bursting one after another. And then a wave rolled through the streets. Yes, a wave of beer. At first, people didn't even understand what was happening, and then they were simply swept away. It's believed the structures were too weak to hold that much liquid. And yes, people actually died there, because they drowned in beer. Not the worst way to go, but still incredibly strange. In 1901, one woman decided to become famous. Her name was Annie Edson Taylor, and she had a, let's just say, unusual plan. She climbed into a wooden barrel, specially reinforced with metal, and headed straight for Niagara Falls. Yes, voluntarily. A drop of dozens of meters. Almost no chance of surviving. But the barrel was built as strong as possible, so it could actually withstand the impact. And you know what? She survived, with only minor injuries, and instantly became famous. Seems like the plan worked. But there was one catch. Her manager stole that very barrel and disappeared. and without it, public interest faded fast. So in the end, she spent nearly all her money trying to get it back. She survived the waterfall, but not the manager. In 1347, during the siege of a city, something, let's just say, unusual happened. The Mongol army was struck by plague, soldiers were dying one after another, and instead of retreating, they decided to use it as a weapon. They began catapulting the bodies of plague victims straight over the city walls. Yes, literally. It's considered one of the earliest known cases of biological warfare in history. And the worst part, it worked. An epidemic broke out inside the city. Sometimes history isn't about who was stronger. It's about who came up with the harsher method first. In 1962, one man made a bet with a friend that he could survive the bite of any animal. At first, everything went fine. Spiders, insects, small bites. He endured it all, and even started believing he might actually win. But then he decided to raise the stakes, and he chose a black mamba, one of the most venomous snakes in the world, whose bite can kill a human in hours. It's believed he simply underestimated how dangerous that was. And yes, he did not win the bet. At all. In 1518, in the city of Basel, people started putting books on trial. Yes, books. If a book was considered dangerous or heretical, it would be brought to the town square and officially judged, with accusations, with a verdict. It was believed such texts could corrupt minds, so they had to be destroyed publicly. And you know how it usually ended? The book was found guilty and burned. In public, sometimes along with the author, makes modern cancel culture look like the softer version. In 1971, a plane was flying over the Amazon jungle, on board ordinary passengers, and then lightning struck it. The aircraft broke apart mid-air at an altitude of around 3 kilometers. Everyone died. Almost everyone. One girl named Julienne Kepke survived. She fell, still strapped to her seat, straight into the jungle. It's believed she was saved because the trees slowed the fall and the seat structure absorbed impact. But that was only the beginning. She was alone in the wild. No food, no communication, and she survived for 11 days, living off whatever she could find. In the end, she walked out to other people on her own, the only survivor after a fall from that height. Sometimes chance is all you have. In Victorian England, people tried to lose weight in a very strange way. They swallowed tapeworm eggs. Yes, on purpose. The idea was simple. The worm grows inside you, eats part of your food, and you get thinner. It's believed this really did cause weight loss. But there was one catch. The worm could grow several meters long and live inside you for years. Its larvae could sometimes spread to the brain, eyes, or heart. And yes, you lost weight. Just sometimes, along with your life. In 1916, a circus in the United States decided to stage a public punishment after an elephant named Mary killed her new handler. The crowd demanded revenge, and the circus owners decided that justice had to be shown in public. Mary was led to a railroad crane, and they tried to hang her. Yes, an elephant. The first time, the chain couldn't hold and snapped, but the second time, it worked. It's considered one of the most horrifying cases of animal cruelty in history. People came expecting a show and got something very different. In ancient Rome, Emperor Caligula ruled so strangely that one day he decided to make his horse an official. The horse was named Incitatus. He was given a marble stable, fed oats from golden dishes, and assigned servants. According to some sources, Caligula even planned to appoint him consul. Many believe it was simply his way of mocking the senators, as if to say, even a horse could do better. And honestly, it's a strong argument. In 1912, a French inventor decided to test his own parachute. Before that, he had dropped mannequins from the window of his house. They crashed. But he decided the problem wasn't the invention, it was the lack of height. So he convinced the authorities to let him jump from the Eiffel Tower. Yes, personally, he jumped, and almost instantly, it became clear the problem really was the invention. Sometimes, confidence in yourself is not a superpower. In the 1930s in the United States, there was a contest for the strangest kind of child, or rather, the perfect one. These were called Better Baby contests, where infants were judged by appearance, weight, health, and the quality of their genes. It was all promoted under the label of science, though in reality, it was basically a baby pageant, with elements of madness. Imagine being an infant and already being judged for your potential. If you like this format, Let me know in the comments. Drop a like and subscribe if you want more.